And at this time, I'm gonna be honest and transparent with you. So a few years ago, my brother and a couple guys in this room bought some X-Treme bait tank systems. And I had a bad experience with my X-Treme bait tank system. It's been several years ago, and somebody's commented on Facebook that X-Treme bait tanks are good bait tanks, and I didn't have a good experience. And the guy said, there's somebody else who took the company over, give him a try. And so I reached out to Damon Melcho and said, hey, I got 2 old tanks that I'm having problems with. He said, I make those tanks right. And I knew I wanted to do business with a guy like that. Said, I make it right, even though I didn't make the tank. Hey, I will make it right. And so when we started running Striped Bass Challenge last year, who did I want to make and sponsor our bait tanks? Damon Melcho, amen. So I'm going to ask Damon Melcho to come up and talk about his bait tanks.
Thank you, Tommy. I also want to give thanks to you for your hospitality. We spent a day on the lake yesterday with him and his wife, Wendy, dinner, and everything that you've done. Really appreciate it. And I also want to thank Lucas and Chris today for the day on the lake, and just to everybody here for the opportunity to speak. I wasn't going to bring up the past that I wasn't involved with, but since Tommy did, he's exactly right. And I'm going to go into a little bit about who I am and how this has transitioned over the last 4 years to today. But I wanted to ask if you guys heard a story first before I do that. We're from Kentucky, and there was a situation that happened. And now that I've gotten into the outdoors again, the situation was there was rumor that somebody was shooting sandhill cranes. And DNR got a hold of the information, and they contacted the person that was supposedly doing this. They knocked on the guy's door. He answered the door, and they said, we've been told you've been shooting sandhill cranes. The guy said, yeah. He said, well, don't you know those are federally protected? He said, no. He said, well, I got to write you a citation. So he said, I understand, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't know. So he's writing the citation. He says, by the way, what do you do with them? He goes, well, I eat them. He goes, eat them? He goes, what do they taste like? He said, about like bald eagle. Yeah, I didn't understand. Anyway, here's my attempt at a joke. My history. I've been in the cemetery and funeral business for 30 years. I retired. And when I retired, I wanted to get into something that's going to lead me into the outdoors. And lo and behold, bait tanks was the answer. When I got into the bait tank business 4 years ago, the first thing I did is I created a mission statement. It's to create the best product, the best bait tank uses the best materials, supported by the best customer service. And I'm very comfortable that we've accomplished that. No one's perfect. That is my objective. And if I can't, like Tommy said, I will do what I can to make it right, even if it's not my doing. We're out of Somerset, Kentucky, which is on Lake Cumberland. We've got a 5,400 square foot manufacturing facility dedicated to nothing but X-Treme. We've purchased all the equipment necessary, the CNC routers, the welders. Everything is done under one roof. We have 6 staff members, 10 dealers throughout the states, and 30 pro staffers. What makes our bait tank special? Every bait tank, regardless of its size, is designed to do 3 things. It'll circulate, filter, and oxygenate the water. Our objective is that when you pull the bait out of the bait tank, it's better than when you put it in there, ready for the hook. There's 3 types of directional flows. When the original tanks were made, they were with 1. And as I visited, and this job has given me an opportunity to get on a lot of boats, a lot of different types of fishing, big and small. And what I learned real quick is that not all baits are created equal. I base it on what I call the 4 factors: the region, the size, quantity, and the type of bait. So depending on who you are, what you fish with, where you fish at, and what you're fishing with, I wanted a bait tank that you own that would accommodate that bait. So one of the key factors of that was we were able to research and find a different type of directional flow so that you could choose what goes on inside your tank, so that you could create the perfect environment for that bait on that day. Our tanks are made 100% in the USA, and we're 100% custom fabrication. Everything is done under one roof. About a month ago, Wendy and Tommy had the opportunity to come and see our shop, And everything I'm telling you is what you got to see when you were there on that visit. So the original series of tanks was what we call the signature series, and we've got one down below us. They're 26 inches tall. The smallest one we make is a 20 gallon. Now it's important to understand when we talk gallons, we refer to that as a true size. That's the bait area. So a 20 is actually 30 gallons of water when you factor in the bait or the filter area. We wanted you to know exactly what you had to work with based on the bait that you had. Then we go in increments of 15. So a 20 to a 35 to a 50, 65, 80, and we jump up to 100. Then we started to get calls. Can you make something shorter? So if you're a crappie guy or you've got a low profile boat, we were able to take the same footprint and drop it down 8 inches to 18 tall. So a 20 become a 12, a 35 would become a 23, a 50, a 32, and then the 65, 80, and 100 dropped down, became a 40, 50, and 60. Now why would you need a short 100? And I won't get into some of the offshore stuff we've done, but again, it's all about the bait. In some areas of Florida, they use 2-foot ladyfish for king mackerel. They didn't need the volume, they needed the elbow space. We developed a website, and on our website, we're full disclosure. At any time, 24/7, you can visit the website. All of our tanks are listed on the website with the price. And with that said, beginning of Build a Tank. We coined this after Build a Bear. And we all remember that the bear you could buy, and then the kids would add on all these features. So Build a Tank allows you to take what you've been used to for years, which was what I call a shelf tank, had the pumps, the filter, venturis for the oxygen, but you can add special features. One of the features that have really become popular for us is the black walls. And if you've not seen the tank with the black walls, that came from about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. We got a call from Tennessee for skipjack. And we've all probably used skipjack. And I don't know if you've ever been to Tennessee on the rivers where they're catching 40, 50, 60 pound striper, but that's of their choice. And the only way they really had to keep the skipjack alive is what they called a hook 'em and hang 'em. They would hook them in the nose and hang them around the boat just to keep them alive so they'd have a fresh piece of bait. They said, we never had a live well where we could keep them. But an old salt said to me, if you could figure out a way to darken the inside of the tank, you can keep skipjack alive. So I just made some phone calls and I came into the piece of material that I needed, and we tested it for 8 months. We were able to keep the 18, 20, 22 inch skipjack in that tank for 3 days, when my goal was just to keep them through the day, let alone the 15 minutes that they were used to. Well, from there, we knew we were onto something. We were putting other baits into the tank, and I was getting calls that were like, Damon, you are not going to believe what's happening. The gizzard shad, the herring, the life of the bait is amazing. And a great example of the difference between the white wall tank and a black wall tank is we've all dipped bait, and we've seen them chase from the net. In a black wall, you can have a tank full of bait, look down and just pluck the one out. It's like they don't even see you coming. So we believe that adds less stress to the bait, which gives you at the end of the day a better, healthier bait. But that's an option. That's something that you can decide if that's an important feature to you, build into your tank. The other feature that has really been a home run is our ability to add 110 magnetic drive pumps into the tank. So forever, and they still are, they're built with 12-volt pumps. But you have the option of adding a 110. Why would you want a 110 in your bait tank? If you fish multiple days and you've caught bait, and sometimes we know how hard bait is to catch, and you don't want to have to repeat, you'd love to be able to keep your bait as what I call carryover bait. Now you can get back to the dock, disconnect from your battery, and simply plug your tank into an extension cord. It has the exact same water turnover that the 12 volts provide. The bait doesn't miss a beat. You put your bait to bed, and you can go to bed, relax a lot better, and have to worry about, is my battery dead, is my bait dead? Your tank's running, your batteries are charging, you can wake up and repeat. The 110 is also given us an opportunity to get into other markets like bait and tackle stores. We sell a lot of tanks down to the coastlines in Florida for what we call dock tanks, where they can just sit there, they catch their bait, they bring it in, and they can fish out of that big tank of their own bait for the next week or so. There's other features like drains, custom engraving, those are things, again, none of that stuff affects the bait, it's more of a convenience for you, but when you order, you get to choose if that's something that you want in your tank. So basically it allows us to build a tank for you based on you, your boat, and most importantly, your bait. As a result of everything that I've told you, here's where what we're really proud of. As we speak today, we are currently, X-Treme Bait Tanks has product in 41 states and 6 countries. We're everywhere from Alaska down to California, Maine down to Florida, and across the bottom 48. A lot of those tanks are all offshore, which has allowed us to get into the saltwater market. And it's very important to know, because I get this question a lot, are these tanks saltwater worthy? And the answer is yes, because it goes right back to the mission statement. We want to use the highest quality products in our tank. Everything is 316 stainless steel, tinned wire, the HDPE. It's all geared for salt weather, whether you put salt or use salt water for your tanks. The other thing that we had that's a nice accomplishment for us is a year and a half ago, we were contacted by Bass Pro. For the last year and a half, we've been working with Bass Pro. We drove down to Missouri, we met with the executives there, and they said, we want a bait tank. In the 50 years of Cabela's and Bass Pros, they've never been able to offer a bait tank. They did their due diligence, they researched us, they looked at our reviews, and they said, you're the one that we want. How do we do this? And I said, if we do it, I want to be able to build you an exclusive item. And they said, we agree, we want the Cadillac of tanks. So we went through and we picked out the features going to be in the tank. We contacted our plastics manufacturer for the high density polyethylene. We got a tan green can to match their logo. They asked us to put our name on it, and today we're in Bass Pro as of 2 weeks ago. So we're excited to be there and let them help get our name out. This is another product that we make. It's called X-Treme Oxygen Box. It's a 12-volt box. We'd gotten a call a few years ago, and the gentleman said, I love my boat, I hate my live well. What can you do to help improve the live well? So I thought, what do our bait tanks do that are so special? They circulate, filter, and oxygenate the water. So we got back to the shop, and we designed a box that we make right there. We bend it, fold it, and cut it. That will do that. You plug this in, you drop it into your live well, you give the airline a clean air source, and that will circulate, filter, and oxygenate your live well, your tow, anything that you decide to put it in. It's very light. There's some buoyancy to it. We're looking at better ways to secure it. There's some tricks that you could do depending on your boat and your live well. With you all being CPR, catch and release, today, a name this box right now. And if your name is Jody Arnold, you won. Where's Jody Arnold? All right, Jody. Congratulations. All right, so with that, I want to say thank you for the invitation. God bless you. Be safe tomorrow and have an extreme day. Thanks, sir.